Hey, so it is Saturday. Olivia Roberts, MAPS coach. I am sending you this because on Friday we had an amazing MAPS coaching call, and Monica Reynolds, the VP of MAPS, and Aaron, one of our amazing MAPS coaches, shared some amazing things that I want to share with you. This is a skill-based market. Are we really cognizant of that and taking territory? So we want to talk pre-qualifying the listing appointment. All right. So again, Friday I had the opportunity to spend time with Aaron and Monica. Now, the cool part or the interesting thing is Aaron is a high C. So if you're familiar with the DISC assessment, a high C, very analytical, right? He went on 1,000 listing appointments with Monica and then began completely doing them on his own. He took 175 listings year after year. So what I'm sharing, it is the things that we know works, right? This is boots on the ground experience. Fair enough? Right. So we know it works. So Monica shared that on the way to each listing appointment, that she and Aaron would role play the appointment, role play the possible objections. Are you role playing the appointment? Are you role playing the possible objections? You know what they are in your market, right? Are you role playing them? Do you have that down? So one of the things that Aaron shared with us, and you guys know this, a great listing appointment starts with pre-qualifying the appointment. It's an oldie and a goodie, right? The reason this is so important right now is we know that your time as an agent is more valuable than it has ever been. It takes longer to put deals together. It takes longer to keep deals together. So your time is extremely valuable. What we know is that we also know that when a team grows, or maybe we're at the beginning of our career, and so we take, somebody says, anything about listing, we're like, oh, let's go out there. Well, there's a step first, right? So that first step is that pre-qualifying that listing appointment, right? So when you're growing your team, if you have team members that are allowed to take listings in addition to yourself, are you making sure that we're looking at this pre-listing so that we don't take it for granted? Sometimes we can spend so much time on that listing presentation that we forget that a good presentation is a function of a strong pre-qualification, all right? Now, something that you guys might hear in the background, my nephews are running around playing outside. That's why I'm coming to you from outside today so that they can play on their playground equipment. So the first point, the reason to pre-qualify is to find the seller's true motivation for selling. Now, Leonard, thank you. Leonard, can you say hey?
Hey.
There's Leonard. All right, go play. I'll be done in just a second. All right, so the first point, right? The reason to pre-qualify is find the seller's true motivation for selling. It's not just where they're going. That's an important part, but we want to know the why behind it. So ask them, tell me more about tell me more. So what's taking you to wherever they're going? What's important to you about that? What's that going to do for you, for your family? Go 3 deep. Are you taking the time to practice with your role play partner, going 3 deep? We've talked about it before, there's a great opportunity to role play. Of course, it's completely escaping me right now. The game room, right? So if you check your email, I've sent you information around the game room. You don't have to be, you can jump on there 5 days a week, role play, right? It makes a difference. Now, this is important because when we need leverage, when we're caught in the middle of a deal, right, we do our client a disservice if we aren't taking them back to what's truly important to them. It's important that we take them. What was their importance, right? What was the important for them emotionally, right? Was it being with the grandchildren or growing a family versus, the place or the thing, right? So find out their true motivation and their emotion behind it. When an appraisal issue comes up, or maybe it becomes like, a pissing match between the buyer and seller because it's about the point. Selling and buying a home is a highly emotional journey. We all know this, right? In addition, it's most people's largest financial transaction. Our job is to empower them to make the best decisions for them and their loved ones. So we want to be able to take them back to the importance of the reason, right? Not so they get out of maybe like that slide, imagined or otherwise, right? What is it that this is going to get them to? If they say no, what is it taking them away from, right? We also must understand their time frame. So how quickly do they desire to sell the property? Are they really and truly going, are you really and truly going on a listing appointment where they are ready to sign the contract? Or are we going on what we would call a preview? See, sometimes we think pre-qualifying the appointment is about deciding not to go on the appointment. Now, it can be. We might decide not to go on the appointment, and yet That's not the only thing it does. It gives you the information you need so that you can truly be there for the client on their agenda, speaking to what's important to them. It's basically, imagine a sports metaphor. If you were playing a game against somebody else and you already had their playbook, right? That's important. So it gives you the information that you need. Now, also, if it's a true preview, because they want to know something because it's maybe the distant future, maybe you're better off doing via Zoom, right? You could save time, driving time, walking through the house. So if we could get on Zoom and talk in more detail before determining to come out and commit the time, right? We just want to know this ahead of time. It's not about jumping and running, right? Now, a preview, it can be a great way to build relationships with a client if we need to continue to nurture them. And at the end of the day, if we do have the time and we want to go out, it's a great opportunity to get in front of them and establish rapport. There's nothing more energy draining than going on what you think is a listing appointment only to discover that it's a preview. Or maybe they're looking for information for taxes, right? If we know ahead of the time, we might choose to do it. And yet we're not losing energy because we walk away disappointed because we had a different expectation than the client, right? And lastly, it's a great opportunity to share what the market is like in their area, right? They may have an idea of wanting to sell down the road, and we all know, why wait 6 months? You might want to do it now and take advantage of the current market conditions. Or we might need to get ahead of maybe Zillow or an investor. So it's a preview can be great. Let's make sure that we know, are we going on a preview or a pre-qualifying? Where did the boys go? Okay. All right. I was checking with my brother to make sure the boys are still, because they got out of my view, but their dad has them. All right. So we can pre-qualify ahead of the time. This helps us build rapport with the seller. The more rapport we can build ahead of time, the easier when we walk into that listing appointment, even if it's a repeat client or someone. So repeat client or someone we've never met before. We want that rapport coming in, so we're not knocking on that door cold. If we can walk in already having that great base relationship, that is going to be key to having a great opportunity for the listing to be signed right then and there, right? Not having to come back right then and there. So we want to make certain that we are mirror and matching them, right? So not just on the phone, it's in person as well. Are they direct and to the point? Are they chatty and expressive? Are they soft-spoken and kind? Are they analytical and detail-oriented? We want to know because when we speak the seller's language, we can establish rapport, and they are more willing, right, to do business. If we are a mismatch, they may feel uncomfortable signing that contract and moving forward right then. So make sure that we're building rapport, okay? If you have questions about how do we make sure that we're building rapport besides these questions, let me know. I've got some great information I can share with you around building that rapport. Now, great question. Over the phone, tell me about your home. If they answer 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 1,800 heated square foot, what else you need to know? I think we know what kind of person we're talking to, right? Now, if they go on for 15 minutes about the extra strong nails and the 2x4s, well, then we also know who we're talking to, right? So if you can't figure it out, ask that question and let them tell you who they are, right? All right, number 4, when you pre-qualify, you get to learn who is in direct competition with you, right? How frustrating is it when we don't get the listing signed because they're interviewing other agents? When you know this ahead of time, and know who you're interviewing, who your competition is, do your research so that you can sell against them. We're always going to be high-minded when we do this, and yet, what are their stats? What are your stats? Are you bringing that, right? Know who the top agents in the market are. Know what sets you apart. How do you sell yourself against the competition? Remember, that seller thinks that we're all the same. So how are you showing that you are different, setting yourself apart? Otherwise, they interview 3 agents, and at the end, they're like, gosh, they all sounded great, even though one sold 2 houses and the other sold 200. Who are your biggest competitors? Are you clear on what makes you different? What value you bring? All right. Now, next page, next point. We get to anticipate the seller's objection. So the listing appointment is whatever their objections are. When we know ahead of time, we can be a lot more efficient. When we know what we need to address, we know, right? Like if we know that the commission is going to be important, or is it price or time frame, right? Are they being realistic? Now, in some of our markets today, right, what does that even mean? And yet you want to know going in, right? Are they expecting a discounted commission? It's good to know ahead what they are expecting from marketing, right? You may have be on 2 different pages of what it takes to get houses sold today. You're the expert. Let's find out where they are so we can meet them where they are and then show them what actually needs to happen to make it work, right? Now, the last point and one of the absolute key pieces, do not handle objections over the phone. Do not. Now, the only exception I would ever say is, let's say that you're in a market that typically the seller's out of state and you don't ever meet them face to face. In this case, I would ask myself, is this just a conversation? Am I at the point where I'm pre-qualifying to set up the listing appointment, right? Even if that's all in one step. The biggest piece is we want to make sure that we don't handle the objection if it's a pre-qual. If we're having a conversation about actually listing, that's different, right? But for 99% of us, we have that conversation when we're face to face, eyeball to eyeball, right? If they say, hey, by the way, what commission do you charge? Don't step on that landmine, right? You say, great, that's one of the first things that we're going to talk about when we meet on Monday, because I know that my goal is the same as yours. Put the most amount of money in your pocket. Look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. When they bait you into handling objection over the phone, that is their way of disqualifying you. So what happens is you'll hang up and then you'll receive a text that says, hey, no need to come by. I've listed for X commission. Right? You know how that goes. So don't step on that landmine. We want to know the objection so that we can handle it. And yet it's not something that we handle over the phone. All right. Number 6, set expectations. Be assumptive when we are talking to our clients and our potential clients. Hey, thanks for reaching out to me. I look forward to the opportunity of working with you. I look forward to the opportunity to get your house sold. I'm excited to help you downsize to wherever. Thank you for putting your trust in me. When you are assumptive, not only does it set the expectation, it sets the tone and an opportunity to learn their objections. Because, when we're assumptive, we say that and they might go, oh, hey, or let's say we say, hey, I can't wait to get your home sold. And they say, wait, we ought to tell you that we are interviewing other agents. Well, hey, good. We now know, right? So the more assumptive you are is the more opportunity for objections to show up. We want this. We want to know ahead of time, right? Instead of as we're walking out the door, right? And of course, everything we talk about, this saves us time. It saves us energy. So just because someone has a thought of selling doesn't necessarily mean we should go there. It might be a better opportunity for us to utilize our time elsewhere. So the pre-qual, super important. Now, based on what we've shared with you today, these are some questions. What do you need to change? What do you need to add? What do you need to keep doing, right? In the open source, you can access this in your hub. It's a link to the bold pre-qualifying script. If you have one and it's working, keep using it, right? You can also identify objection handlers in that open source, right? Around commission, timing, pricing, right? Even more important, so I have a challenge for you. Record your pre-qual script. This one, you're going to find from the hub, the bold pre-qualifying script, the one that you're using. If it's better, if it's working, record it and share it with me. Let me share it with all of you guys that are in my coaching schedule. Let's have a competition, right? The winner, we'll figure out a prize, right? And then we'll also mastermind. We'll do a deep dive into those pre-qualifying scripts. We'll mastermind around this and the objection handlers in one of our April Group Mastery Thursday calls, right? This is a skill-based market. Let's take territory, right? All right. Something else. Role play this week, going 3 deep, right? Monica shared this, and I thought it was really powerful. This happened with her, with a client, and she asked, where are you moving to? And the client's in Chicago. Well, some agents might, great, you're moving to Chicago, and they go straight to the next question. Instead, when you say, well, what's important to you about moving to Chicago? And they say, well, I got a new job. And you go, interesting, well, what does that ultimately do for your family? And they go, well, my mom has Alzheimer's, and that's why I'm leaving this company, going to the other company. It's really not the best job, and yet I'm getting to take care of my mom. Now, that's a whole nother story than I'm moving to Chicago. And yet, if we don't go deep, you really don't know what it is that they're dealing with. And then you get to say, well, gosh, that's really great what you're able to do for your mother. Monica's client in this situation shared back, well, got high school kids, they're not real happy about it. So now she knew some of the dynamics of what was happening in that family, right? This is important. So this is why we go 3 deep. What's important about that? What will that do for you, right? And then get the time frame, the big question, what happens if you aren't at Chicago on that date, right? Now, how do you set up the pre-qual? All right, you set an appointment. We always set the appointment, then we pre-qual. So you've got an appointment set, and then you could go right into, now to ensure that I do an excellent job for you, let me ask you some questions, and you go into your pre-qual. Now, pre-qualifying, again, it's to build the rapport bridge before the appointment and finding out who they are before opening the door and having to start from scratch. Right now, let's say you have an ISA, or maybe your buyer's agent or your admin sets the appointment. Always, whoever's going on the appointment, call once that appointment is set and pre-qualify. Build the bridge of rapport versus walking in cold and you haven't met them. Okay. So whether you use the bold pre-qual script, yours, you use one that we put together, all of us put together. Create a form that you have for your pre-qualifying script. Keep one in your car, keep one at your office, keep one at your house. When you answer, you're on the phone with that seller, you set the appointment. You're going to go into that line so that, right, to make sure that you have the best experience. Can I ask you a few questions? Go through and actually write those down. This ensures that we're asking the most effective questions. This is going to ensure that we're building rapport and that we remember. Take that pre-qual questions to the appointment. The seller will love to see that their answers were important enough for you to write down and remember. It makes an impact. All right. Anytime, this is the other piece that I want you to start looking at. Anytime you come back from a listing that wasn't signed while you were there, ask yourself, this is where we debrief. What could I have asked in the pre-qualify that could have ensured I left that appointment with a signature? What could I have asked? Not from a right or wrong, just from it's learning experience. What could I have asked in that pre-qual that could have ensured I left that appointment with a signature? Okay. All right. So let's recap really quickly. Pull your pre-qualify sheet, review. If you aren't using a pre-qualifying script before each listing appointment, go identify one, begin practicing, record this over the next couple of weeks. Share it with me. As a group, we can get together. We can vote on the best one. We can talk about what we liked, what we didn't, on all of them. And iron sharpens iron, right? Let's learn from one another. Number 2, pre-qualify for each appointment. Go 3 deep. Where are you going? Why is that important to you? What will that do for you? Identify the objections prior to the appointment so you're able to tailor your listing presentation to the client. And number 4, practice the objections that you are getting or other agents are in the market are sharing with you. We practice outside of our appointments. That way, when we go to our appointments, we're not practicing on our clients, right? All right, that's my time. I'll be on the lookout for your takeaways, your ahas from this recording, what you will be doing differently with your pre-qualifying, and what you're going to keep the same, and what edits you're going to make. This is a skill-based market. Let's be the most skilled and let's take territory. All right, that's my time. Have a great one.